I watched him in his striped pajamas and morning hair, going every which way, leaning out the window with his camera. I know you, I thought, but do I really know you? You know me. You think you do. But do you really? Places within my heart. Hello and welcome again. This is Sandra Hart at Life Over 60. So great to see all of you again. And for all of you who are new, welcome to you as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you push that little bell whenever I put up a video, and it's usually on Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of my years here on YouTube, I have done quite a few videos on relationships. I've done videos on the differences between men and women, the yin and yang, the Venus and Mars, of how we think as women and how men think, and what they're looking for in relationships and what we are mainly looking for. I've done a lot of those. Plus, as you know, if you are a subscriber, I have interviewed my late husband quite a few times, and you can see the differences in personalities and who we are. Well, lately I've been thinking a lot about relationships, and I've been thinking about marriage and the institution of marriage and what it is like for us women. Studies have shown that there are about 5 different phases in the stages of marriage. And of course, the first one is romantic, the excitement when you first meet one another. And that romantic stage can last from 2 months to about 2 years. And the next stage that comes along is disillusionment, when the reality sets in as to maybe what marriage is and who your partner is. And when all that romantic stuff is done, then all of a sudden it gets down to reality in the second stage. The third stage is the power struggle stage. And that's when in the relationship you kind of vie to see who has more power over the other, whether it's through your careers or the relationship. Whatever the dynamics in that relationship would be, then that is when they say the power struggle comes. Now, I don't know whether everyone has gone through that, but that is probably more common than not. I know I went through it in my marriage as well, and I'm going to be talking about that later on. Stage 4 is the stability stage, and stage 5 is the commitment stage. And those last 2 stages are what I'm going to be talking about today and what I am most interested in. The commitment and stability stages. Now, those of you who have followed me know probably a lot about my late husband and I and our marriage. He was a bachelor till he was 57. I was an independent single woman with 3 children. Of course, he had no children. I had 3. He was used to doing everything all himself and have control of his entire life. And of course, I wasn't, because I had 3 children and I knew I had to be a little bit flexible in my ideas and my attitudes, and I had to give a little leeway in family dynamic relationships. So Arthur and I really were entirely different in that way. Of course, I had been married before and he hadn't, so we also had that not in common. So basically, I would say Arthur and I were yin and yang. We absolutely had nothing in common except at first that charismatic chemical reaction called love, that attraction that we had for one another. And the reason I'm really talking about these last 2 stages, because they, I think, are probably at our age, and if we've been married for a long time, those are probably the 2 stages in life that are more meaningful and more important for us now. And I think because of those last two stages are more important. I know we did go through the power struggle stage because he was 13 years older than I was, and he was so ready to retire. But I had just started a new career when I was in my 50s, and I was so happy and I loved what I did, and I really didn't want to quit. He wanted to stop and retire full time in Florida, but I honestly wasn't ready for that. So I had a struggle within myself. I had a commitment to him and to the marriage, but I also had this great desire to do what I'd always wanted to do for the rest of my life, or since I was young, is to be an actress and to be in the theater. And that was so overwhelming and so powerful that it kind of drew us into a power struggle and which one was going to win and who was going to give in. Well, I really thought about it. It took me a long time, but I thought about what I wanted in life and what was my priority. Did I want to ruin my marriage because I wanted this career? Or was there a middle ground where I could come to some type of compromise? And I finally realized that I am who I am. I am a creative being, and maybe I would not be able to express my creativity in front of the camera, in film and television, or on the stage. But because I still had this creativity within me, I could write. So I thought, I can write anywhere. I don't have to be in New York. I can be in Florida, and I can still write. So it's then that I realized that there can be a compromise, and there doesn't have to be a power struggle if your priority is to keep your marriage whole. And Arthur gave up a lot of time because writing takes a lot of time. I started to write my first book, Behind the Magic Mirror, and that meant I had to have a lot of time in solitude. So he gave up for a while the social part of our lives to allow me to write, and I gave him a life in Florida. So it was a compromise for us, and we got through that power struggle stage pretty well. The next stage was being able to be together and kind of stabilize our relationship. We got to know one another because we both had stopped these powerful careers. We got to know who we were and what was important to us. My children were grown, so we only had each of us to think about. And it really was a growth period for us because we'd been so busy because it was a late in life marriage. I was 45, he was 57. So it gave us both time during this period to really get to know one another. It is a part of marriage that I know is extremely important because a lot of people don't make it to that stage. A lot of people give up in the disillusionment stage. Sometimes they don't last through that power struggle stage. So if you have lasted through all of those stages and you get to this stage, then it is a wonderful discovery and a wonderful journey for both of you to go through. Commitment stage. This stage is also can be called the acceptance stage. And as I said, the Institute of Family Relationships said that only about 5% of people in their marriage last long enough to get to this stage. That's kind of depressing, isn't it? But there are so many mismatched couples in the world who base their relationships on that first passion stage that there is nothing behind it to build and to keep them together. So slowly, year by year, it falls apart. This is the stage where Arthur and I really knew everything about one another. I knew his weaknesses, he knew mine, I knew his strengths, he knew mine. But it was a period of deep love and acceptance and growing stronger roots to our foundation. And during that last period of our marriage, we had gone through COVID and we had never been together 24/7. Never, because he spent summers in New York and I spent summers down at my house in New Jersey. So it wasn't until, or up in my house in New Jersey. I always get confused. My son is saying, Mother, Nashville is up, New Jersey is up, and you're down. Anyway, it was a period in our time when we deepened our relationship. And then the last year or so, where I took care of him, I could see his love growing immensely. All of the things about me that he took for granted, he embraced, and he was so grateful for. And I am so happy that I was able to spend that last year with him in the type of relationship that we had, because it was beautiful and it really let me know how much Arthur loved me, in spite of all my differences, in spite of all the things that he, as a bachelor didn't want to be tied down. He felt he got trapped. In spite of all of those things, his love grew, and I could feel my love growing for him. I am extremely blessed to have been able to have that last stage of my marriage with him, because those are the things that when I look back on him and our marriage, those are the things and the memories that I cherish the most. My partner, my husband, in the end, was my very best friend. This last stage is the stage that I will keep with me forever. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm just so happy to have each and every one of you as my community and as part of this conversation. And I would love to have you share your relationship, your marriage with us, or if you had a marriage that broke up and how you feel about it and why you did. Please be good to yourself, be kind to whomever crosses your path, and of course, pray for world peace, share the love, and I want you to know that wherever you are in the world, you are never alone, and that you are loved. Take care, and I hope to see you next Tuesday for another conversation.